So if you know the slope and the y-intercept of a line, then you can easily figure out what their graph is, okay? It's actually easier than most methods I know of, okay? We're going to start out with an easy one that's already in standard form. By the way, what does y-intercept mean? Good, the point where it crosses the y-axis, okay? So that's an easy one, right? And then from there we can use the slope to plot the second point. That's kind of what we're getting at. First example, we're going to have y equals 3x minus 2. The reason this one's so easy is because it's already in what we call slope-intercept form. So step 1, write this down at least once. Make sure the equation is in slope-intercept form. That's why this one's the easiest. Step 2, find the y-intercept. Well, guys, based on this information, what do you think the y-intercept is? -2. Yeah, it's this number by itself, right? We learned that, right? So b, remember b is your y-intercept, is equal to -2. That should say find, that should actually say, well, it doesn't matter, the order. The next step is to find the, I will make step 2 find slope. That's what I meant to put. Find slope for step 2. Step 3, find y-intercept. I'm not sure why I confused those two. Going back then to slope, looking at this equation, what's the slope? Okay, it's the number in front of the x. So for step 2, m is equal to 3. All right, so let's just recap the steps. Convert to slope-intercept form, then you can easily find the slope, and then you can easily find the y-intercept. Okay, the next step is to plot the y-intercept. So we're going to go to a... I added an extra step that shouldn't be there. Let's just delete that. I'll fix it later. The next step is to... Oh, I should rename it. Okay. Find y-intercept. Now we're going to plot the y-intercept. So going back to what you said, what does this -2 mean in terms of the graph? Like, how do I know how to plot that? Here's the graph. Where do you put the -2 at? At the -2 where? Right. Here's the y-axis, right? So at -2, we're going to put a point because that's where it crosses the y-axis. So find slope, find y-intercept. Now plot the y-intercept. Next step is to use the slope to plot the next point. So guys, I've seen a lot of students get confused here. You're starting now. Once you plot that y-intercept, that's your starting point. And you're going to use the slope to plot the next point. Now it might be helpful to write the slope as a fraction. So it's going to be 3 over what? 1. Okay? So again, I'm going to start at the y-intercept right here. And since my slope is 3 over 1, I'm going to go up 3 over 1, starting at the y-intercept. So up 1, 2, 3, right there, and over 1. That gives me a second point. 2 points make a what? A line, right. So for the final step, once you've plotted the second point, you can connect both points with a line. It's not going to be perfect, it's just a sketch, but it's going to look something like this. Make sure you put your arrows on the line as well. Okay, so again, let me reiterate those steps. Convert to slope-intercept form. Then you're going to find the slope, whatever that number is in front of the x. Find the y-intercept, the number by itself, which in this case is -2. Plot the y-intercept. Start at the y-intercept and use the slope to plot the next point. And then connect both points with a line. It's simple. Very, very simple. But let's do one that's not already in standard form. All right, so let's say, what if you had -2x? And this is going to look a lot like the first one, although you're going to find it's going to be different. -2x plus 3y equals 6. So what's the problem here?
What we're going to do.
Yeah, you got to get y by itself. In other words, you got to convert to standard form. So what's the first thing you're going to do? Get y by itself. Good, add 2x. So you're going to have 3y is equal to, And you can put the 2x first. You don't have to put the 6 first. Remember, the order in which you add numbers doesn't matter. All right, next step. How are you going to get y by itself? Divide everything by 3. So we get y equals, now that first 2x is going to become 2 over 3x. And then you have to divide the 6 over the 3, which is 2. Y-intercept, now that we know that. Slope is going to be 2 over 3, the number next to the x, and y-intercept is going to be 2. Well, yeah, but for the y-intercept, it can just be a number because it's just where it crosses the y-axis. So on the y-axis, I'm just going to, at 2, I'm just going to put a point. And then remember, you're going to use the slope to plot your second point. So I'm going to start at 2, and I'm going to go up 2 and over 3 to get my next point. Like this, up 2 over 1, 2, 3. Whoops, I went over 4. There, it gives me my next point. I have 2 points, and then I'm just going to connect them with a line. Okay, we will go over some more examples after the quiz tomorrow.